$30.7 trillion. That is the size of the United States economy in 2025. A number so large that if you spent $1 million every single day, it would take you more than 84,000 years to reach it. But the race to that summit, and the battles fought beneath it, tell a story that is far more compelling than any single number. This is the world's largest economies, measured by nominal gross domestic product in current US dollars, tracked across 6 snapshots from 1992 through 2025. The data comes from the World Bank and the IMF. Every figure you see on screen has a verified source. And what those figures reveal will reshape how you see the global order. We begin in 1992. The Cold War has just ended. The Soviet Union is gone. And the world's economic map looks nothing like it does today. The United States sits at the top, as it always has in this era, with a gross domestic product of $6.52 trillion. It is dominant. It is unchallenged. Japan, at $4.06 trillion, holds second place. And at this moment in history, many serious economists believe Japan may one day overtake the United States entirely. Germany comes in third at $2.14 trillion. France and Italy, 2 of the great European industrial economies, sit at first $0.39 trillion and $1.32 trillion, respectively. The United Kingdom, at $1.18 trillion, rounds out a remarkably European top 6. And then there is China. In 1992, China's entire economy is valued at just $428 billion, less than a third of Italy's, less than a tenth of the United States. At this moment, China does not crack the top 10 by a wide margin. It is present in our race, but it is not yet competitive. Russia, in the painful wreckage of its post-Soviet transition, records $460 billion, barely ahead of China. India stands at $288 billion. Canada at $594 billion. These are the foundations. Now watch what happens. We move to 1999. 7 years have passed. The United States has surged to $9.63 trillion. The American economy of the 1990s, driven by the technology boom, the dot-com era, and the longest peacetime expansion in its recorded history, has grown by nearly 50% in less than a decade. Japan, meanwhile, has barely moved. $4.69 trillion in 1999, compared to $4.06 trillion in 1992. The Japanese asset bubble burst in the early part of the decade, and what followed was a period economists would call the lost decade. Growth stalled, prices stagnated. The country that once threatened American dominance was now falling further behind, not catching up. Germany holds steady at $2.21 trillion. France and the United Kingdom both grow modestly, but the number that catches the eye is Russia. After the chaos of the 1990s, hyperinflation, the ruble crisis of 1998, the collapse of state industries, Russia's GDP has fallen from $460 billion to just $195 billion. Less than half of what it was in 1992. That is not a slowdown. That is a collapse. China, by contrast, has grown to $1.10 trillion, from $428 billion to over $1 trillion in 7 years. The race is beginning. 2005. This checkpoint changes everything. The United States is now at $13.04 trillion, still the undisputed leader. But the landscape around it has been transformed. China has reached $2.32 trillion, more than 5 times its 1992 level, and accelerating. The entry of China into the World Trade Organization in 2001 opened access to global markets at a scale the world had never seen. Factories expanded. Exports exploded. The number of people lifted from poverty during this period is without parallel in recorded economic history. Japan, at $4.88 trillion, is still the second largest economy in the world, but only barely. China is closing the gap at speed. Germany, at $2.89 trillion, has grown substantially, aided by the strength of the euro and its position as the engine of European manufacturing. The United Kingdom surges past France in this snapshot, 2.55 trillion against 2.19, as London cements its place as the dominant global financial center of the era. India, meanwhile, reaches $820 billion. Still modest in the global table, but the compound growth rate is gathering momentum. Russia, having stabilized and benefited from rising oil prices under the early Putin years, has recovered to $764 billion, almost 4 times its 1999 low. 2012. China has arrived. By 2012, China's nominal GDP stands at $8.67 trillion. It has overtaken Japan, which records $6.33 trillion in this year, and is now firmly established as the world's second-largest economy. The speed of this ascent is worth pausing on. In 20 years, China has grown from $428 billion to $8.67 trillion. That is an increase of more than 20 times over. The United States, at $16.25 trillion, maintains its lead. But the gap that once seemed insurmountable is visibly narrowing. At the growth rates of this era, projections circulate widely that China could overtake the US within a generation. Germany holds $3.59 trillion, France $2.68 trillion, the United Kingdom $2.72 trillion, edging past France again. Russia, energized by commodity revenues, has climbed to $2.21 trillion. India has reached $1.83 trillion. Canada sits at $1.83 trillion as well. The two economies virtually level at this checkpoint. 2018. The United States records $20.66 trillion. It has crossed the threshold of $20 trillion for the first time in history. China, at $14.15 trillion, continues its climb, but the rate of growth is beginning to moderate as the Chinese economy matures. The gap between first and second place is still enormous, but the dynamics of the race have shifted. Japan, at $5.15 trillion, has slipped back. The yen's fluctuations against the dollar distort the nominal figures, but the underlying story is clear. Japan is no longer in the conversation for second place. Germany stands at $4.06 trillion, France at $2.78 trillion, the United Kingdom at $2.90 trillion. Then comes India, $2.70 trillion, now within striking distance of both France and the United Kingdom. The transformation of India's economic scale in this period is one of the defining stories in the data. Russia, at $1.66 trillion, has actually contracted from its 2012 peak of $2.21 trillion. Western sanctions following the events of 2014, combined with the collapse in oil prices, took a measurable toll on Russia's nominal output. And then, we reach 2025. The final checkpoint, the full picture. The United States, $30.77 trillion. A figure that represents roughly 1/4 of all economic output on Earth. The American economy in 2025 is larger than the combined output of the next 4 entries on this list. China, $19.50 trillion. The growth from $428 billion in 1992 to $19.50 trillion in 2025 is one of the most dramatic economic expansions ever recorded. And yet, the gap with the United States is not closing as fast as it was. The era of double-digit Chinese growth is over. Germany, $5.05 trillion, holding third place in this table. Japan, $4.44 trillion. A reminder of how far Japan has drifted from the second-place position it held for decades. In 1992, Japan was at $4.06 trillion. In 2025, Japan is at $4.44 trillion. 33 years of time, and the economy has grown by less than 10% in dollar terms. That number tells its own story. The United Kingdom, $4.00 trillion. India, $3.96 trillion. These two economies are now separated by a margin that, in the context of this data, is almost too close to call. India's trajectory is upward and accelerating. The United Kingdom's is measured and steady. The moment when India permanently overtakes the UK in this ranking may not be far away. France, 3.37 trillion. Canada, 2.32 trillion. And then, Russia and Italy. This is where the data demands attention. Russia records $2.56 trillion in 2025. Italy records $2.55 trillion. The gap between these two economies, 9th and 10th place in this ranking, is less than $10 billion. In the context of multi-trillion-dollar economies, that is a rounding consideration. The race between Russia and Italy at the bottom of this top 10 is, in 2025, essentially a statistical tie. 3 turning points define this 33-year story. The first, China's entry into the World Trade Organization in 2001. Before that moment, China was a fast-growing economy. After it, China became a force capable of reshaping the entire global order. The second, Japan's lost decades. The country that looked like the future of capitalism in 1990 never recaptured that momentum. Its share of global output quietly diminished while the world looked elsewhere. The third, the compression at the bottom of the top 10. Russia, Italy, Canada, France, the United Kingdom, and India, all clustered within a range that would have seemed impossible to predict from the 1992 starting grid. What the 2025 data tells us is this: the race is not over. It is changing pace. The United States holds a lead that is larger in absolute dollar terms than it has been at any previous checkpoint in this data. China's growth has decelerated. Germany has consolidated. And India, which barely registered in 1992 at $288 billion, now sits within a single percentage point of 4th place. The economies that dominate the next 30 years will not necessarily be the same economies that dominated the last 30. The data makes that clear. The question is not who leads today. The question is, who is building the foundation for what comes next? The numbers will tell us. They always do.